Good morning, everybody. When I was locked up, I was going through such a range of emotions, facing life in prison. Good news that would help our case would come in, victims would come forward, and I would start feeling confident. And then, stuff goes against you. A case ebbs and flows, and you start going up the mountain, and then you crash down to the valley again. And there would be times in my cell where I couldn't breathe. I felt like I was drowning, and I just felt the weight of everything I was facing on top of me. I'm facing this life sentence. My molestation that I've never confronted is splashed into the front pages of the paper. I'm withdrawing off of drugs and alcohol. I'm horribly depressed. I'm having suicidal fantasies. And I would have to break down my prayers for asking for God to get me through what I was facing. I couldn't say get me through the day. That was way too long. I couldn't even say get me through the next hour, God. I would sometimes break it down to a minute or half a minute. I'd be just rocking, trying to breathe in my cell, and I'd be like, internally just praying, like, God, please get me through the next 30 seconds. Please comfort me and get me through the next 30 seconds. Get me through the next minute, please. And you have to break it down to the smallest increments. And I heard a comment by psychologist and author Jordan Peterson, and he echoed the same thing. I had never heard of him while I was locked up. After I got out of prison, I heard of him, and he said the same thing. He's like, when people are horribly depressed, you have to break down a task to the smallest task possible that they can conquer. And if somebody's agoraphobic, telling them to just open the front door is too much to ask sometimes. Telling them to just put one foot outside the door is way too much for them. So he's like, he'll have them stand at the end of the hallway and just stare at the door until their breathing calms down and they feel safe just staring at the front door. And then you can move them to halfway down the hallway. And then eventually you can move them to touching the front door and then opening the front door. So it's small increments. And when my brother died back in February, and I fell into this depression, because we had both been molested by the same guy, and it just triggered all of my childhood issues. I fell into a depression, and I couldn't clean. I was sleeping on a couch, and I had a night table, in front of the couch, and I couldn't clean it off. I had so much crap on it. I didn't make my bed, or make my couch, let's say, and that's, one of the first things to go when you're horribly depressed is cleanliness around, where you live. A depressed person is not cleaning the house, so I've said in other videos, a morning routine should be to make your bed, so maybe, making your bed's too big of a task. Just fluff your pillow up to start with. I would look at my table next to the couch every day and just get more depressed because it was so cluttered and filled with crap, and I couldn't do anything about it. So, if you're in that situation, just take one thing off of the table a day. Just do the smallest task possible. Just clear one thing off and throw it out. If you can't make your bed, fluff your pillow at least. Start with the small increments. and build upon them. And then the next day, clean 2 things off your desk. Fluff your pillow and pull the sheet up. And then over the course of time, you'll have your bed made just from doing the small increments, and you'll have your table cleaned. But you got to break it down to the smallest increments. When you're in that hole, and you just are filled with the darkness of that hole, just start doing the smallest increments. Realize that you need to do something. And it can just be the simplest things, praying to get through the next 30 seconds. That's how I had to break it down when I was locked up. So break it down, small increments that you can manage, and then build upon those small increments. Peace.